My child, stop for a moment and listen closely, because this message found you at a time when your heart needed it more than you realize, and nothing about this moment is random, not the timing, not the feeling that made you pause, not even the quiet weight you have been carrying lately that no one else seems to notice. I see you in that space where you keep going through your days, showing up, doing what is expected, yet inside there is a tiredness that rest does not seem to fix, a kind of quiet confusion that lingers when everything gets still, and you have wondered more than once if you are falling behind, if something is wrong with your path, if the silence you feel means you have been forgotten. But I tell you now, you are not lost and you are not unseen. You have been guided here because there is something within you that is still searching for truth, still open enough to hear, and that matters more than you think. Because even in your uncertainty you did not completely close your heart, you kept moving forward even when you did not understand why things were taking so long, and I have been with you in every one of those moments, in the long drives where your mind would not quiet down, in the late nights when you stared at the ceiling replaying conversations and questioning your choices, in the small everyday situations where you felt overlooked or misunderstood. I was there, not distant, not silent, but working in ways you could not yet see, and the delays you have been struggling with, the doors that did not open, the plans that did not unfold the way you expected, they were not signs that you were being denied, they were moments of protection and preparation, even if they felt frustrating at the time, and I know it has not been easy to trust that, especially when you compare yourself to others or feel like time is slipping by, but there is a deeper movement happening in your life right now. Something steady and intentional, and this message is part of it, a gentle interruption to remind you to pause, to breathe, to soften the pressure you have been putting on yourself, because you do not need to have everything figured out in this moment, you only need to stay present and open, and as you stay with these words, you may begin to notice a subtle shift, a quiet clarity that was almost there before but easy to miss, and there is more to understand about what you have been going through, because what you thought was just exhaustion may be pointing to something deeper that is beginning to change. My child, I want you to notice something gently, without pressure, just observe it with me for a moment. The way your thoughts have been circling the same questions again and again, the way your energy feels drained even after a full night of sleep, the way you sometimes feel present in your life but not fully connected to it, as if something inside you has been quietly shifting while everything around you keeps moving at the same pace, and you may have tried to explain it away as stress or overthinking or just a difficult season, but there is more to it than that. Because what you are experiencing is not simply exhaustion, it is awareness beginning to rise within you, and awareness often feels uncomfortable at first. It can feel like restlessness, like something is missing, like you are searching for an answer you cannot quite put into words, and I see how you have been trying to hold everything together, showing up for others, meeting expectations, keeping your responsibilities in order, even when inside you feel stretched thin, and there have been small moments in your day, quiet pauses between tasks, a few seconds in the car, standing in line, or sitting alone at night, where you feel something deeper trying to get your attention, something subtle but persistent, and you might have brushed it off because life keeps calling you back into motion, but those moments matter. They are not interruptions, they are invitations, and I have been speaking to you in those spaces, not with loud answers, but with gentle nudges, with a sense of stillness that asks you to slow down and listen, and I know that slowing down is not always easy for you, especially when you feel like you need to keep pushing forward to stay on track, but pushing harder is not what you need right now. What you need is clarity, and clarity does not come from force, it comes from presence, from allowing yourself to sit with what you feel without immediately trying to fix it, and think about the last time you felt truly at peace, even if it was brief, a quiet morning, a simple conversation, a moment when you were not trying to prove anything or figure everything out. That feeling was real, and it is still available to you. But you have been moving so fast that it has been easy to overlook, and this is where things begin to change, not in a dramatic or overwhelming way, but in a quiet turning point within you, where you begin to recognize that the pressure you have been carrying is not all yours to hold, that you are allowed to release some of it, even if just a little at a time, and as you stay here with me, you may start to feel a small shift, a sense that something inside you is loosening, and there is more to understand about this shift. Because what feels like confusion right now is actually the beginning of something becoming clear. My child, stay with this feeling a little longer, because there are signs in your life that you have been noticing without fully understanding them, small shifts that seemed easy to dismiss, like the moments when something no longer feels right even though it used to, or the times when you feel a quiet pull to step back from certain situations, certain conversations, certain habits that once felt normal to you. And you may have questioned yourself, wondering if you are overthinking or becoming too sensitive, but I want you to look again with gentleness, not judgment, because these are not signs of something being wrong with you, they are signs of you becoming more aware, and awareness changes how things feel, it changes how you respond, it changes what you can tolerate, and I have been guiding you through this in subtle ways, not by forcing you, but by allowing you to feel the difference between what drains you and what brings you peace, and think about the patterns you have started to notice, the repeated situations that leave you feeling unsettled, the conversations that feel heavier than they should, the environments where your energy seems to fade faster than before. These are not random experiences, they are reflections, showing you where something needs your attention, and you do not need to react with fear or urgency, you only need to acknowledge what you feel, because when you acknowledge it, you begin to understand it, and when you understand it, you can respond with clarity instead of confusion. And I know there have been times recently when you felt a sudden pause in your life, plans slowing down, progress not moving as quickly as you hoped, and it felt frustrating, maybe even discouraging, but look at it again from a softer place, because sometimes a pause is not a setback, it is space being created for you to see something you would have missed if everything kept moving at full speed, and in that space, you may have started to question what truly matters to you, what aligns with who you are becoming, what feels real and what feels forced, and these questions are important. They are not signs of weakness, they are signs of growth, and growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels clear, and as you reflect on these signs, notice also the moments of calm that appear unexpectedly, the brief sense of peace when you allow yourself to slow down, the clarity that comes when you stop trying to control every outcome. These moments are just as important as the discomfort, because they show you what is possible when you are aligned with a deeper sense of truth within you. And I am not asking you to make drastic changes or sudden decisions. I am simply inviting you to pay attention, to trust what you are noticing without rushing to conclusions, because there is a natural unfolding happening in your life, and as you continue to stay present with it, something deeper will begin to make sense, something that has been forming quietly beneath the surface is starting to reveal itself, and in the next moment, you may begin to understand why these signs have been appearing the way they have. My child, stay here with me, because what you are beginning to notice is leading you into a deeper understanding, and I want you to gently look back at the moments you once called losses, the things that did not work out, the opportunities that slipped away, the relationships that changed or faded, and instead of seeing them as something taken from you, allow yourself to consider another possibility, that you were being guided away from something that was not meant to hold you in the long run, and I know this can be difficult to accept, because when something ends or falls apart it can feel personal, it can feel like rejection or failure, but look again with a softer perspective, because there were things you could not see at the time, paths that would have drained you, situations that would have kept you smaller than you are meant to be, and what felt like loss was often a form of quiet protection, a redirection that did not make sense in the moment but was creating space for something more aligned with who you are becoming, and the same is true for the delays that have tested your patience, the plans that moved slower than you expected, the progress that seemed to stall just when you were ready to move forward. You may have felt frustrated, wondering why things were not happening on your timeline, but those slower seasons were not empty, they were preparing you in ways you could not measure, building strength, clarity, and awareness beneath the surface, shaping how you think, how you choose, how you respond, so that when the right opportunities come, you are ready to meet them with a deeper sense of self, and even the silence you have felt, the moments when you searched for answers and did not receive them in the way you hoped, those moments were not abandonment, they were invitations into stillness, into a quieter kind of trust, where you begin to listen not for immediate answers, but for a steady sense of peace that grows when you allow yourself to pause, and you may notice now that in those quiet spaces, something within you has been changing, becoming more aware, more grounded, less dependent on external validation and more connected to an inner sense of knowing, and this is the turning point, not something loud or dramatic, but a shift in how you see your own journey, where you begin to understand that you were never being held back, you were being guided, not pushed away but redirected, not delayed but prepared, not ignored but gently led into a deeper alignment, and as this realization settles in, You may feel a release, a softening of the tension you have been carrying, because the story you told yourself about what was missing is beginning to change into a story of what has been forming, and there is more unfolding from here, because as you begin to trust this new understanding, you will start to notice a different kind of movement in your life, one that feels more steady, more intentional, and more connected to the truth you are now ready to see. My child, I know there are still moments when this understanding feels fragile, when the clarity you are beginning to feel gets tested by the reality of your everyday life, and it happens in ways that seem small but carry weight, like when you check your phone and the call you were hoping for has not come, or when you put effort into something and the response is silence, or when a door you thought would open remains closed without explanation. And in those moments it is easy to feel overlooked, to wonder if you are being forgotten, to question whether you are truly being guided at all, and I see those moments clearly, the quiet disappointment that you do not always show, the way you try to stay strong and move on quickly, telling yourself it does not matter, even when it does, and there may have been evenings when you sat alone, replaying your day, feeling a distance you could not explain, as if something was missing, as if you were waiting for a sign that never arrived. And I want you to understand something deeply: those moments are not evidence that you have been left behind, they are part of the space where your trust is growing, not the kind of trust that depends on immediate answers, but the kind that remains steady even when things are unclear, and I know how difficult that can be, especially when you are doing your best and still do not see the results you expected, when a relationship feels like it is slowly drifting, when conversations become shorter, when the connection you once felt begins to change, and you are left wondering what happened, wondering if you did something wrong. But not every distance is a loss. Sometimes it is a gentle release, creating room for something healthier, something more aligned with who you are becoming. And the same is true in your work, when things feel uncertain, when stability does not come as quickly as you hoped, when you question if you are on the right path. These are moments that test your belief in yourself and in the direction you are moving, but they do not define your worth. And they do not mean you are unsupported, because I have been present in every step you have taken, even the ones that felt uncertain, even the ones that did not lead where you expected, and there have been quiet strengths growing within you through all of this, resilience you did not realize you were building, patience that has been deepening, awareness that is helping you see more clearly what truly matters, and while it may not always feel like progress, it is shaping you in meaningful ways. And when you feel that sense of being alone or forgotten, I want you to pause and notice your breath, notice the simple fact that you are still here, still moving, still open enough to feel, because that openness is not a weakness, it is where your strength comes from, and you are not navigating this on your own. Even when it feels quiet, even when nothing seems to be happening, there is a steady presence with you, holding you through these moments, guiding you gently, not forcing outcomes, but allowing you to grow into a deeper sense of trust. And as you stay with this understanding, something within you begins to settle, not because everything has been resolved, but because you are starting to recognize that you have not been abandoned in any of these experiences, and there is something more unfolding from here, something that will make these moments begin to make sense in a way they have not before. My child, as you continue walking through your days, I want you to begin noticing the quieter moments that often pass without much attention, because not everything that guides you will arrive in obvious ways, and you may have already experienced this more than you realize, like a simple sentence you overheard that stayed with you longer than expected, or a message from someone that came at just the right time when you needed a bit of encouragement, or even a brief moment of calm that settled over you for no clear reason in the middle of a busy day. And you might have dismissed these as coincidences, as ordinary parts of life, but I invite you to look again, not with pressure to label them as anything extraordinary, but with openness to what they might be offering you. Because guidance often comes through what feels natural and familiar, and there have been times when something did not go as planned, a delay that frustrated you, a change that disrupted your expectations, yet later you realized that it kept you from making a choice that would not have served you well. And in those moments, even if you did not recognize it right away, there was a quiet form of care present, allowing things to unfold in a way that protected your path without forcing your understanding. And think about the small opportunities that have appeared, nothing overwhelming, just subtle openings, a conversation that led to a new idea, a chance to try something different, a moment where you felt a slight sense of direction returning. And these may not seem significant on their own, but together they begin to form a pattern, a gentle movement forward that does not rush you but supports you. and you do not need to interpret every detail or search for meaning in everything you see, because this is not about overanalyzing your life, it is about becoming more present within it, allowing yourself to recognize when something feels aligned, when something brings a quiet sense of peace rather than pressure, and trusting that feeling as a guide. And there is also something important in the way your body responds to certain moments, the way tension eases when you step away from what is not right for you, the way clarity begins to form when you give yourself space instead of forcing decisions. These are signals that you can learn to trust, not because they are dramatic, but because they are consistent, and as you become more aware of them, you may find that you are no longer searching as desperately for answers, because you begin to feel a steady direction within yourself. And this does not mean every step will be clear or every outcome predictable, but it does mean you are not moving blindly, you are learning to recognize what supports your growth and what does not, and that awareness becomes a form of quiet confidence. And as you continue to notice these small yet meaningful moments, you may begin to sense that there is a deeper rhythm in your life, something unfolding gradually, not in a way that demands your control, but in a way that invites your trust. And there is more to this unfolding than you can see right now, because what is forming is not just a series of events, it is a deeper understanding of how to move forward with clarity and peace. My child, you are beginning to feel the shift more clearly now, not as a sudden change but as a quiet release within you, and I see how you are slowly loosening your grip on things that once felt so important to hold on to. The need for certain outcomes, the desire for certain people to stay the same, the hope that closed doors might reopen if you just try harder, and it has not been easy to reach this place, because letting go can feel like giving up, but what you are doing is not giving up, you are making space, you are choosing peace over pressure, and there have been moments recently when you paused and realized that chasing what is no longer aligned only brings you further from yourself, and that realization may have felt both freeing and uncomfortable at the same time. Because part of you is ready to move forward, while another part is still holding on to what once felt familiar, and this is where your strength is growing, not in forcing yourself to be completely certain, but in allowing yourself to gently release what no longer supports you, even if you do not yet know exactly what comes next. And I see the way you are learning to forgive, not in a way that excuses what hurt you, but in a way that frees your heart from carrying that weight any longer. And forgiveness does not always happen all at once, sometimes it comes in small steps, a softening of your thoughts, a willingness to stop replaying what cannot be changed, a quiet decision to no longer let the past define how you feel in the present. And this is how your heart begins to feel lighter, not because everything has been resolved, but because you are no longer holding onto it with the same intensity. And there is also a deeper understanding forming within you about the doors that have closed, the opportunities that did not return, the paths that are no longer available. And instead of seeing them as something you need to fix or reopen, you are beginning to accept that they serve their purpose and that your path is not meant to circle back to what you have already outgrown. And this acceptance brings a new kind of calm, one that does not depend on everything going perfectly, but on your ability to remain steady within yourself. And this is where true peace begins to take root, not as a perfect life without challenges, but as a heart that is no longer driven by fear, no longer reacting to every uncertainty as a threat, but responding with awareness, with patience, with trust in the process that is unfolding. And you may notice that situations that once caused you anxiety now feel different, not because they have completely changed, but because you are meeting them with a different energy, one that is more grounded, more centered, less dependent on immediate outcomes. And this is a powerful transformation, even if it feels subtle, because it changes how you move through your life, how you make decisions, how you relate to others and to yourself. And as you continue to release what no longer belongs in your present, you create space for something new to enter, something that aligns more closely with who you are becoming. And you do not need to rush this process or force clarity, because it is already unfolding in its own time, and there is more waiting to be revealed, not as something you need to chase, but as something that will meet you as you continue to walk forward with this new sense of peace within you. My child, you are closer than you think, not to a sudden change that overwhelms you, but to a quiet breakthrough that begins within you first. And I want you to understand that what is coming into your life will meet you at the level of how prepared your heart is to receive it. And this is why you have been guided through these moments of reflection, these pauses, these small realizations, because they are shaping how you respond, how you choose, how you carry yourself moving forward. And there are gentle adjustments happening within you now, in the way you think, in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you approach your days, and these adjustments matter more than they may seem, because they are creating a foundation that will support what is ahead, and I see how you are beginning to slow down just enough to listen more carefully, not only to what is happening around you, but to what is happening within you, and that is where true direction begins, not in rushing toward answers, but in becoming present enough to recognize them when they appear, and there is something important I am guiding you to practice, not as a rule, but as a way of aligning your life more closely with what is real and steady, and that is learning to speak honestly, even in small ways, to express what you truly feel without hiding behind what is expected, because truth creates clarity, and clarity creates peace, and when you allow yourself to be honest, with yourself and with others, you begin to move through your life with less confusion and more intention, and I am also guiding you to soften the way you approach your quiet moments, the times when you turn inward, whether you call it prayer, reflection, or simply stillness. Because this is not a space where you need to strive or perform, it is a space where you can be calm, where you can breathe, where you can release the need to control every outcome and instead allow yourself to trust what is unfolding step by step, and trust does not mean you stop taking responsibility for your life, it means you take each step with awareness, doing what you can with care and integrity while letting go of the need to force what is not ready, and this is how you begin to walk forward with both faith and responsibility, not waiting passively, but also not pushing beyond what feels right, and there may be small actions you are being prompted to take, simple things that feel manageable. Like reaching out to someone, trying something new, or letting go of a habit that no longer supports your well-being, and these actions may seem small, but they are part of your preparation, because how you handle the small things shapes how you will handle the larger opportunities when they arrive, and you are learning to move in a way that is steady rather than rushed, intentional rather than reactive. And this is what brings a deeper sense of confidence, not the kind that comes from knowing every outcome, but the kind that comes from knowing you can trust yourself to respond with clarity and care, and as you continue in this direction, you may begin to feel that something is opening, not all at once, but gradually, like a path becoming clearer with each step you take, and you do not need to see the entire path right now, you only need to stay present with the step in front of you, because that is where your strength is. And there is more unfolding from here, something that will meet you as you continue to grow into this steadier, more grounded version of yourself.